Hey there, Park Lane artists. It's me, Mrs. Pendleton, just checking in to say hey. Hoping that you and your families are doing well and staying healthy and that you're helping to take care of each other. Let you know that I love you and miss you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again. And to thank you for tuning in today so that you can follow along with some of the lessons that have been provided for you to be working on while we are learning from home. So hopefully you've already been to the Parkland website or you've gotten your packet, fifth graders, and you have received the assignments that we're going to be working on for the next couple of weeks. What my fifth grade artists are going to be working on are landscapes and or cityscapes, because we are going to be exploring depth, which includes showing distance in our drawings. So we're going to be working with foreground, middle ground, and background. We're going to be doing some drawing because we haven't had a chance to do some drawing in quite some time. And so I want to try to squeeze that into this unit before we quickly move on to things, to our next unit when we come back. So there's a few vocabulary words I want you guys to know. I want you guys to know the standard, and I'm going to walk you through some of the instructions that are in the lesson plan, which are available, the lesson plans, which are available on our Park Lane site. So please make sure you're checking that. Also, same rules that we have in the art room, I would love for you to follow at home. One, be nice to each other. Be nice to the people around you. Be nice to your family and brothers and sisters and everyone that's around you. And two, practice that self-control. Make sure you're controlling your mind, mouth, and body and being as creative as possible. Same rules also in the art room. If you're drawing, or since we're drawing, if you can, use a pencil first. That way, if you want to change anything or you make any mistakes, you can erase them. But if you don't have access to a pencil, get anything around you that you can use to draw. And if you have the packet, feel free to use the extra paper extra space at the end of your packet. Or if you don't, if you have any paper, anything you could draw on in your house, get it now and bring it back to me when we get back together at school. Okay, you guys ready? Let's do this. Okay, so our fifth grade artists are going to be working on landscapes and or cityscapes. So you have a choice as to which one you would like to do for this project. The vocabulary that we're going over is this: 1 point perspective, which I will introduce to you sometime next week. So don't worry about this vocabulary word yet. But for right now, I do want you to focus on foreground. Those are the things that are in the front of your artwork. Middle ground, the things that are in the middle of your work, which I'll demonstrate to you in a moment. Background, the things that you already know are in the background space or the empty space all the way in the back. Overlap is when you draw one object over another to show that it's behind or in front, or that when you draw one object behind another to show that that object is behind another object and something is in front of it. Depth is the illusion of distance and space. That means in your drawing or in your two-dimensional work, things look closer the larger you draw them, and things look farther away the smaller you draw them. And that's where we talk about size. When things are in the foreground, you want to draw them large. When things are in the background, you want to draw them small. But I'll show you how to do that in a few minutes. The standard that we're working on is VA5 for fifth grade. CR1, engage in the creative process to generate and visualize ideas by using subject matter and symbols to communicate meaning. So we're going to use all these processes together and talk about the meaning of our environments, okay? What we see in our personal environments, what we see when we venture out. If you want to include buildings from your community, houses from your community, other buildings and stores from your community or your neighborhood. If you want to include in your cityscape things that you've seen when you've been out and about. If you want to do a landscape instead and use mountains and parks and trees to demonstrate your experimentation with depth, feel free to do that. My example uses city buildings and a variety of city structures, things that you would find in a metropolis, in town. So you might not see a lot of grassy areas, trees, mountains, of course, in this. You're going to see a lot of concrete things and man-made things. So this is the example that I'm going to be using for what we're going to be working through. Just a little sneak peek. We're also going to be walking through some 1 point perspective very, very soon. If you take a look at this and you are ready to try this on your own, feel free. Bring this in to me when we get back from school, and I'll give you some extra credit for this. Just a few hints. Start with 1 point in the middle. Draw some diagonal lines to the corners. and add your buildings like this. Take a few seconds and check that out and see if some things make sense to you. If they don't, that's okay. I'll teach it to you when we get back. So here we go. We're going to start with our landscape or our cityscape. So because, even though we usually use a pencil, just because I want you to be able to see things very clearly, I'm actually going to start this project with a marker. Like I said, artists, if you can use a pencil, use a pencil. If not, use whatever you can. I'm going to have to modify a few things as I go, so try to be patient with me. We'll figure this out as we're going along. The first thing I'm going to draw is my horizon line. That is the line that goes across the paper from one end to the next. This is the line I'm going to build all of my buildings on right now. I'm going to start with some simple shapes. Some large rectangular shapes. Maybe some pointed shapes. Maybe I'm drawing some stores in this community or in this area. Now, the good thing is about the video, you can slow this down or speed this up, whatever you need to follow along. And of course, your drawing does not have to, nor should it look just like mine. Mine is just an example to give you an idea of how to do some things and where to start. I'm going to overlap this building on top of this one. So this means I'm going to draw behind it, start at the top, go up, go over, and work my way down. Holding my paper in place over here. I'm going to draw another building behind it. You can't see it, so I'm going to start drawing from that building. I'm going to draw the top of it. Stop there. Because you can't see it. There we go. And the thing I'm going to do one more. There is no minimum or maximum of the buildings that you have. All I ask that they go from one side to the other. So I have some buildings here. The next thing I'm going to do is draw another horizon line in the background. That's all the empty space back here. Because I need you to show me. See, I'm starting at the buildings. I need you to show me that you understand how to draw things to look far away. Which means on this far back horizon line, I'm going to draw some more buildings. But I'm drawing them smaller because they are far away. And I want you to try this concept on your own. We may have done this before, but it's especially important now. Before we move into 1-point perspective when we come back. So I'm still overlapping these buildings. Starting at the buildings in the front. Starting here because I have buildings behind it. Have some over here. You can use simple shapes, or if you're ready to get creative, you can make your buildings whatever shape you want to. What I'm looking for is your understanding of foreground, things in the front that we're going to draw. Let's draw a few cars here. Just some simple shapes right here. However you draw cars, go for it. I'm going for that classic old school car for simplicity purposes. But you draw however you want. And the truck right here. I'm drawing these things in the foreground. Again, just simple shapes. Quick. And I'm going to draw a street behind it. Maybe a street line there. So what I'm looking for is your ability to draw some things in the front. The things that are in the foreground start at the bottom of your page. I want to look for things that are in the middle. Remember this middle line that we drew? Consider that part of your middle ground. Where you're going to add details to these buildings, these large buildings right here that you drew. And last, I am looking for things in the background. These buildings that are far away, and you've drawn them smaller. And remember, the things that are farthest back are smaller, middle ground a little larger. If we were to have buildings right here in the front, they'd be super big. Okay, so remember thinking about that, and you can draw that if you want to. Give it a try. For this week, I want you to work on your buildings in your foreground, your middle ground, and your background. If you're ready to start adding details, go ahead and add details. I'm not going to add details to mine yet. I'm going to include that in my video for next week. But I will put in some doors. And maybe some window designs. Just a few. Just to give you all a few ideas of what your buildings can look like. They can be stylized, which means you made them up. They're extra fancy. Or they can look realistic. You know, we're artists, so we get an opportunity to change things up a bit. And so that's what I'm doing. However, most important, I am working with the standard and I am working with the vocabulary. Don't forget depth, which shows distance, which is shown through foreground, middle ground, and background. And feel free to add parts of your sky, the sun here, a little cloud there. And make sure your name is at the bottom. Put a box around it. Take a look. Okay, artists, there you have it. That is my example for the lessons for you guys to follow along with. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on YouTube. Send me some comments. Send me some questions. And don't forget, you can also contact me through Office Teams. I am available for any questions. Or if you just want to say hi, send me an email through Teams or send me a message through Teams. Again, guys, I hope you're doing well, taking care of each other, taking care of your families as well, taking care of yourself. Remember to be nice, control yourselves, keep everyone around you healthy. I love you and I miss you, and I can't wait to see you soon. And looking forward to seeing your artwork. Love you guys. Bye.